Hi, I'm Paul Germain, and welcome to another session of Smart Boating. As you know, if you watched the show before, we cover a wide variety of topics from man overboard to marine electronics, and the general idea is to provide you with some information that will help you make smarter decisions and have more fun on the water. Every now and then we take a little voyage down a tributary, if you will, and that's the case today, where we're going to look at lighthouses. And joining us is a very knowledgeable guy in that area, Marty Nally. Welcome, Marty.
Hi, Paul. How you doing?
Very good. Marty, we got a really cool show here today on lighthouses. They're really the fabric or the network of a mariner's safety net. And I think it'll be interesting for people to learn more. But before we get into it, can you share a little bit about your background with lighthouses?
Yeah, in 1996, the Coast Guard passed, Congress passed the Main Lights Program Act, and they wanted to restore crumbling lighthouses all over the coast.
Yeah.
And the first 15 years of my career, I was in downtown Boston working on 200-year-old buildings.
Okay.
I did a job for them. They kind of liked what I was doing, and they asked if I would participate in the program.
Oh, okay. All
and
right.
I actually won the first one. It's a no-low bid process. You had to be the most qualified. A lot of heavily qualified people bid on it.
Yeah.
And I ended up winning the first project.
And
So,
there were about 25, you said, under the contract?
there was 30. I'm pretty sure there was 30.
30.
But then they passed another law, the Lighthouse Preservation Act, 4 years later, and they gave grants to people to fix their own. So it went to hundreds, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So you've got a lot of background in lighthouses.
Sure.
That'd be
Yeah.
fair statement, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get right into the program. You know, one of the things I'm curious about is how did they decide how to build out the system? In other words, how did they figure out where to put the first lighthouses and why?
Well, it's the story of the history of our country. Basically, President George Washington was called the Lighthouse President. He basically commissioned most of the lights, the early ones.
Okay.
Because if you did not have a lighthouse in your harbor guiding merchant ships in, they would not come.
Right.
And
Makes
you
sense.
would not prosper. It was not only a aid to navigation, but it was a economic symbol also.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of strength and your area that you lived in. So everybody wanted one for their harbors.
Interesting. If we were to look at the top 1, 2, or 3, where were those locations?
Boston Light's number 1. Nantucket is number 2, Brant Point. Baker's Falls in Salem falls in around 9th.
Okay.
But New York, Sandy Hook, and Montauk are very old.
Interesting.
But like where our country started, and then
Yes,
it went down the coast and up the west.
Yeah, interesting, very interesting. Well, let's take a look at we've got some interesting photographs of some of the different lights here. Got one here, this is, I believe I'm pronouncing it correct, Petite Manan.
Petite Manan, yes.
Petite Manan. Now
Correct.
this is in Maine, right?
It's in Maine.
Yeah. Can you just give us an overview in terms of statistics-wise, kind of how tall this is or how the diameter is, that sort of thing?
Yeah. It's a tall one. It's the second tallest in New England.
Really?
It's 121 feet to the first deck, and then of course you got the lantern on top.
Okay.
So it's probably 130 overall. And it's quite a trip up. It's 128 steps, and I spent a lot of time going up and down those stairs.
Yeah, so you'd be in good shape from
Yeah,
working on a
right.
lighthouse. Yeah. Well, let's look at this one here now. Just whether you're building a commercial building or a house or whatever, you need blueprints to get started. Lighthouses are the same way, and this is kind of almost like a cover page for a deck of related blueprints for this particular lighthouse, right?
Correct. And it's an old one. This is from the archives in Washington. The architect that did most of the Main Lights Program lighthouse pulled all the old drawings. These are from 1840s, and
Wow.
some of them even from 1790s. She would pull the original drawings, and from there she would figure out what we had to do to them too.
Really, yeah.
bring them back up to snuff.
Well, it's interesting to me. You can really see how tall a lighthouse is by looking
Yeah.
at the house in the left part of the picture and the house.
That would be the keeper's house.
Yeah.
And the
And
assistant keeper.
The actual light there right next to it just dwarfs it in comparison.
Yeah.
This is an interesting view. It's actually got multiple views in it. What draws my eyesight first is the stairway picture on the left side of the.
Yeah, it's called a section. It's like slicing through the lighthouse. So
Right.
you can see the staircase, and of course, that had to be built when this drawing was done. The builder would have to install that staircase.
Okay.
The top part is a elevation, just showing the sides of the house,
I see.
and the lower one is a floor plan. That would be.
Okay.
And like today's drawings, it's
Get a lot of information on a single
correct.
drawing.
That's the point.
Well, look at this one. This one's interesting to me because it's got these lines or gradients in it. What's all that about?
It's a structural drawing. It's just showing the size of the timbers for the contractor to use. Where the windows are located. It's we call it a structural drawing, and that's the information you get from that. Sizes and thicknesses and everything else like that.
Yeah, and to that point, under this program, the goal was to revive and refurbish the different lighthouses back to original specs, right? So even the materials, not only did you have dimensions that you had to follow, but you had material authenticity that you had to follow as well, right?
Yeah, these are all on the National Register of Historic Places. There's a certain means and methods to do old buildings, and they want to use the same products they were used 250 years ago. Right. So that's what our and this architect actually was very strict on that whole thing.
Is that right?
He was.
Well, we've got one last picture. This is kind of like, to me, this is like a things to do, a punch list you'd see on a house. It would handle these different aspects. This has a similar purpose, right?
Yep. Basically, it's describing, there was a lot of ironwork during this project also, and that had to be replaced and refurbished. But it's an amazing drawing now that I see it again. But in the old days, there would be a Fresnel lens in there. Now you can see that's an airport beacon.
Okay.
And that spins. And but this is when they electrified it. But that's what it looked like today.
So that was the work you had to do. This is like take this sheet with you and check off.
These are all instructions and tasks on what we have to do.
Right, right. Now, you know what is interesting about this process? I always thought we got the lighthouse, oftentimes they're on an island, you got the mainland, and you got a boat. The boat goes in between the two. Yeah. So if I have to do something on the island, I get in a boat.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case for a lot of your work, right?
No. It could have been, but thinking deeply, we wanted these projects. I wanted to do them, and there were very heavily qualified people bidding on them.
Yes.
And so you had to think of it was a no-low bid, so the cost of the projects didn't really matter. Of course, it did.
Yeah, right. But within reason.
Within reason, but they did not. They wanted it done the most efficient way possible, and I think they fell in love with me when I decided everyone else, all the other 7 contractors were using tugboats, barges, cranes, and a lot of labor to get the materials to the island.
Yes.
And I was the only one out of 8 to come up with the helicopter.
Wow. That was some novel thinking.
I think that won me the job.
That got you to the job. We have a few shots of the helicopter. Now, what's our payload with that carry between the mainland and the island?
That's a Huey helicopter.
That's a pretty strong helicopter.
It is, but it only can carry a 2,500-pound payload. So if we would have to break down all the materials and palletize them on our own before the helicopter day.
So a lot of trips going on here in the day, right? Because that's not cheap to rent a chopper like that.
It's not cheap, but believe it or not, it's a lot cheaper than the barge crane, and it's very cheap.
Now you're going to try to operate in almost all weather, right? This one looks like it's out right.
Well, we try to shoot for a good day on helicopter day,
right?
But the weather is a challenging problem out there. We get it all.
Yeah, very efficient way of doing things. And this is, was this a drop site we're looking at
Drop
here?
zone, believe it or not, the lighthouse is right here, right off to the right. And
Okay.
so we get the materials right up close as we can.
Yeah.
And it's really a very efficient and economic way to do it.
What a great solution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really
yeah,
is.
yeah. You don't see that. And that would take, what, maybe a day to move stuff out and a day to move stuff
Uh,
back? Or?
only one day. On every project we use the chopper, it's a one-day event.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, 2 days, and we got to get the
1
material
day out
and
and 1 day
equipment
back.
back off.
Yeah, what a great solution. And that's another picture of the light. Why is the big cable running down the left side there? Is that like a generator?
Well, that's a hose.
That's a hose.
We have to de-lead all the lanterns because it's got 200 years of lead paint. So in order to pass these on to another nonprofit organization, it has to be clean.
Mm-hmm.
So every one had to be done. It's a tough, dirty job.
Ah, right.
And we power it with generators on the ground.
Nice.
We encase the lantern, and everything's clean, and we monitor the air. We have sniffers that make sure nothing gets out.
The smart move, yeah. This is some interior work. I would guess most lighthouses really needed help in this area.
Yes, believe it or not, the cast iron did last hundreds of years. It's an amazing product.
Mm-hmm.
It lasts much better than steel or
Really?
iron.
Is that right?
And but it did crack, and like I said, this is down to raw metal, the original product, and then we put 3 coats of epoxy paint on it.
Yeah, tough
for
stuff.
the final. It lasts forever. It's bulletproof.
Right. Now here's it doing its job at night.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about lenses and that sort of thing downstream here a little bit. But
Okay.
what would be the range of a light like that, do you think?
This one here is 22 miles.
Oh,
Yeah.
smoke.
Yep.
22 miles.
22 miles offshore. You can see that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And is the light on 24/7 or is it just
24/7.
dark?
24/7.
Oh, okay. They leave it on all the time.
All the time.
Oh.
They call them day markers too, in their day.
Yeah. Right. And here's you departing from the job. How long would a typical job take, and how many people were typically involved in the process?
Yeah. This job is about 90 days. It was kind of a big job. And I had 9 men out there. We came home on weekends, but we stayed in the old existing keeper's house.
Yeah.
We had to clean them all up because they're all, boarded up.
Yeah, right.
It was rough going. It was tough living.
It was.
But no showers all week.
Oh, boy.
But we have 41-degree ocean water to swim in.
Oh, nice. There you go. That'll offset things. This is a great picture. Where was this?
This
lighthouse?
is This is in Castine, Maine. It's Dice's Headlight.
Okay.
It's the mouth of the Penobscot River, which was during the 1800s heavily traded. The French and English traded with the Indians,
right?
And for a lot of years.
So this was critical. The commerce in that area.
The commerce in that area was critical.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a beautiful setting, Castine, Maine. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I haven't.
It's
no.
Great.
We've got like 2 or 3 pictures of scaffolding in the distance, and that's kind of like a core element here. It's like a bread sandwich. You need the bread, you need the filling. Here you need the scaffolding.
Yeah.
Is that kind of specialized, this scaffolding?
Yeah, all our scaffolding was, had to be designed, and because of the radius of a lighthouse, the conical.
Yeah, they're not all the same width going up.
Right. And we have to work on every single inch of the building, so it had to be done. Every one was a different design, and different types of scaffolding too.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Many different.
For the job now.
Yeah.
This one is a similar picture, but it's got some things that look like they're shrouded in some sort of tarp.
Yeah, well, that of course would be a either de-leading operation or needle gunning. We did a lot of needle gunning. The paint was so thick, you would have to do it that way. And so I believe that process is going on underneath that.
Right. And we've got other pictures. Here's another one, scaffolding. Looks like they're doing the walls, the outside walls, maybe.
Yep. Looks like we're preparing for the canopy to go over it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
This is an interesting one. That you get a guy right at the peak there
Yeah,
in a white
he
outfit
is
there.
welding the vent ball that cracked because it was hit by a bolt of lightning.
Mm.
So I believe there's a welder somewhere around there, and he's
Okay.
he's working on that.
All right.
And then we have a mason a little lower in the window doing some detailed work.
Mm-hmm. We'd have guys at various stations doing different jobs simultaneously.
Correct. And every job, some jobs required 9 men, some jobs 5, some 3, depending on where we were.
Yeah. How about this? The guy here in a white T-Vex suit there.
Yeah, but you can see the vent ball's gone, so that he might have been taking that vent ball off because
Okay.
it's completely gone.
Right.
So he could be needle gunning, actually,
Okay.
or get preparing for the top to go over to do the needle gun operation. But I could see some of it's been done.
All right.
Yep.
Right. This is when it's been finished,
That's
right?
a finished product.
Now, is that one coat of paint, or is that multiple coats?
That's multiple epoxy. It's like glue. It's an amazing product.
Yeah.
And it was spec'd by the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Specialty product.
Some serious paint right
Yeah.
there, huh? Yeah.
It's ships
Yeah.
use this type of paint.
And the windows,
All the glasses
the windows have to be super strong.
Oh yeah, they were. Believe it or not, they were in their. They're not bulletproof, but they won't shatter because a lot of people shoot bullets through the windows from boats and things like that. But it's a certain type of glass spec.
Oh, okay.
Very expensive.
Very expensive, yeah. That's a very picturesque view
Yeah,
of...
that's a finished product.
Yeah, that really looks... That's going to stand there for many, many years.
Yep.
Here's some local light that people might recognize. This is Baker's Island, right?
Baker's Island light, yeah.
Yeah. So that's been around a long time, hasn't it?
I believe it's had 2 or 3 towers. This one's been around since 1815, but I think Baker's was established in 1791 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So that gives you that guidance into Salem Harbor, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Salem was one of our biggest ports.
Salem was a big deal, right? What's going on here?
It's helicopter day, I see, and we are landing all our product.
Okay, this is landing.
Just for your information, I do know the numbers here. We had 62 loads, we call them pick, from the helicopter. We had it on the mainland, and for 62 loads, it was 6.5 hours for that chopper to bring all that over.
Zipped right along, huh?
It's very quick. Yeah. Busy, but quick.
What a time saver, huh?
Yeah.
Now, that's the example of it out there. I think you said the limit was 2,500 pounds?
2,500, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you go in and they snap them to a...
Yeah, we have,
A ring or
believe me,
something?
we have 5 guys on one end and 5 guys on this end,
Oh, right.
packing it, strapping it,
Yeah.
and making sure it's safe. And then the same thing, unloading it on the island.
Very efficient. That's a great shot of it. Now you get the scaffolding going all the way up the top of
Yep.
this Baker's Island.
Yep.
What was some of the work that was needed on this? Do you remember?
Yeah, Baker's Island was in dire straits. Stones were falling out of it, and it was really, really bad. It was a huge engineering task to take all the material out. It's very 2-foot thick walls all the way up.
Wow.
All had to come out and then put in brand new again. And of course, you can't do that. You can't start from the bottom and do that. So we had to do sections at a time all over the lighthouse.
Okay.
Called needling. You do 4-foot by 4-foot section.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do down, then up, then over. The architect has it laid out the way she wants it.
Really?
So if it fell down, it would be her fault. But
Yeah. So they had to use a
very
different technique
complicated
here.
product. Very complicated process.
Wow. Interesting.
And it worked.
Now, lighthouses, for whatever reason, all seem to have windows in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's working on the window here.
Yeah.
Is there certain things that typically went wrong with the window?
Well, we took all the windows out.
Okay.
Actually, believe it or not, these windows were bricked up.
Oh,
And
they
so
were?
They were.
Oh, okay.
Because they kind of abandoned the lighthouses after they automated them.
Right.
And then that's when they all started crumbling. But anyway, we took the
Yeah.
brick out and we put glass block in so
Mhm.
the light would shine in. because they were trying to give these lighthouses away to nonprofits and all that. So everything had to be ship-shape.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big job right there. Now, a lot of these guys are specialists, right? This isn't the guy you find at the corner store
No,
that
they're
knows
all-
how to do mortar. These
They're
guys
all,
have a clue and an expertise in this type of work, right?
They were my crew back then. All we did was old historic buildings in Boston, and they knew, everybody knew what they were doing. Actually, some cases we had to go away to learn how to use old-fashioned mortars.
Oh, yeah.
We had to go to classes down in Maryland and for different products that were spec'd and that we never dealt with before.
Right.
And
what are they doing here? I got a couple guys working
they
on
are
the
the
wall.
stone has been laid, taken out, cleaned, all the mortar that's bad taken out.
Okay.
All the new mortar was put in, and now they're doing the final joints, pointing. We call it pointing.
Oh.
And after this, there'll be 3 coats of a cementitious material. I forget what we used here, but it was like an old time product.
Oh.
It's lime cement. Anyway, it was a design mix coating over it, and that'll last for, she claims, another 100 years.
Wow. That's crazy. Now, this is another local light.
This is Gloucester. Yeah.
Gloucester, Annisquam, right?
Yeah.
This is right where the Annisquam flows into Ipswich Bay.
One of the busiest rivers in the country, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And
So you got the scaffolding up here.
Yep.
Starting to get to work on it.
This was this lighthouse at the time was rust jacked up 3 inches and tilted to the right 3 inches.
Wow.
Because the steel rusted so much, and so we had to actually get that all in line back in place, and all the steel inside. It was a later lighthouse, so they used steel inside, and it all almost destroyed the building.
Didn't work out well, huh? I think we might even have a picture of that. Now here's the stairway again, kind of the core to any lighthouse.
Yeah.
And it must always need repair, I guess.
Always. And believe it or not, they do last for quite a long time without repair.
Yeah,
But this the staircase is incredible. It was a very efficient way of doing it. They put a pole in the middle, and as they were bringing the brickwork up, they would just put the staircase over the pole. Each tread fit perfectly.
They slip it right down on it. Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's a very incredible way of doing things.
Think ahead on it a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. We got here. Oh, what are they doing here? Some interior work, obviously. This looks like aluminum or steel beam. I don't know.
This is old-fashioned horsehair plaster being applied.
Yeah.
Because of course we can't do it the way we do it. So to get these products is very difficult, and to mix them on site, design mixes. It's but they're original. And that's when you go see one today, it's going to have all original.
Make it authentic, huh?
The ones in New England, anyway.
That's interesting. Here we are, a little further down the road, I guess. All the scaffolding's up.
Yep. The netting's up for environmental reasons, to catch debris and
any unique
safety.
Challenges with this particular location?
No, not really. This was, it was
Pretty
the most.
straightforward.
It was one of the prettiest places I ever worked. That's for sure.
Yeah. Nice. Now here is like the crown jewel, right, of any lighthouse is the lens, and this is what they call Fresnel lens.
Fresnel lens.
Yeah. What do we know about that?
It was invented by a Frenchman, a physicist in France, and these lights used to only using their candles and their whale oil. They would only project 2-3 miles.
Oh.
But this guy came up with this polished crystal system, and it changed the whole industry. Captains could see 20 miles, see the lights from 20 miles on shore.
Wow, these are big deals. Huh?
Yeah, and almost every single light had a Fresnel lens.
Yeah, high precision.
Correct.
Crazy.
Some of them were huge. You could walk into them. They were
like a door.
the first order.
Yeah. Well, we're winding down on time, but I think we have time quickly for this last light here.
Well, these are unique because these are bolt-together lighthouses.
Oh,
they can put these anywhere they want in emergencies where, if ships were crashing in certain areas, and if they lost 3, 4, 5 merchant ships, we need this. So they actually bolted together, and they could be built quickly and efficiently.
You get another shot here that kind of shows more of what you're talking about.
We're restoring this. This is in Plymouth. and it's quite a project because obviously it comes right out of the water.
Right.
A lot of difficulties.
New level of complexity there. And what's going on here?
This is us with the epoxy doing. We took the paint down as much as we could get it, and we haven't gone down to the water line yet, but
I see.
coming up.
All right. And here's the lens again. Now this is a different type of lens than we just saw, right? But did they tend to evolve, and were there more choices available as time went on?
Exactly. And of course, electricity came into play in the early ages. So they actually threw the Fresnel lenses away. They're actually beautiful works of art right now.
Yeah.
And changed it to electric lights.
Oh, okay.
And they all have this certain
frequency intervals in which they blink and how fast they go
everyone's
around
different, so the sea captain would know what light he's looking at.
Right. Well, Marty, we actually have a few more lights to cover, but we don't have the time, unfortunately.
Well,
we covered a lot of ground in terms of the fact that they are very old structures, very well designed.
They're America's castles. They're our oldest structures in the country.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people, I think a lot of people admire them, actually. They might
They
not
do.
always focus in, but
There's a big following.
It's a special place for people, lighthouses.
Right.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about, this area before we wrap up the show today?
Well, I think we're just lucky to be living in this area. I mean, this is where the first 5 lighthouses were ever built, right here. And we have a very seafaring history, and Boston's the first seaport in our country.
Okay, and people can get involved with these even today, right? A lot of the nonprofit groups took over these various locations.
Correct.
And so they maintain them and they allow access to them, right?
That was the point, to allow people to come see them and actually go up in them. And
right.
We've done 3 of them on Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket. They're the busiest places in town in the summer.
Is that right?
That's right. There's lines going out the door.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
Sure. Thanks, Paul.
And thank you, Smart Boating viewers, for watching the show today. If you'd like to make comments or have questions or just want to see another show, please visit us at smartboatingus.com. Thank you.